President recognizes Senator Colbeck.
Last year, we passed out a $53.6 billion budget. This year, we have before us a $54.9 billion budget overall. That represents an increase of $1.3 billion. How did we prioritize the spending of this increase? Whose best interests were satisfied by this prioritization? Was it taxpayers? Was it our families struggling to make ends meet? Was it small businesses struggling with the higher costs of health care, energy, and government? Or was it special interests? Let's take a look at some specifics to help us determine the answer to these questions. First, let's look at some specific items that were dropped from the budget because they were not a priority for an influential few. The Direct Primary Care Services Medicaid pilot was dropped. This pilot would have enrolled 2,400 Medicaid-eligible persons into health plans that provided primary care services within a direct primary care model while using existing managed care organization health plans to address any non-primary care services that might be required.
Excuse me, Senator. Colleagues, we have a member trying to address this body. Please continue, Senator Colbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. The pilot had the potential to improve the health care for Medicaid enrollees while saving taxpayers millions of dollars. If this approach were to be fully deployed to all 2.4 million Medicaid enrollees, not only would these enrollees have received better care, but taxpayers could have saved almost $3.5 billion from our $17.5 billion Medicaid budget on an annual basis. These savings, these improved services, were not a priority. Do you know what was a priority? Special interests. So much for the taxpayer, so much for those in need of quality health care. So what else was dropped? Life cycle testing, a cost-effective long-life pavement design, was dropped from the transportation budget. This test would have provided the Michigan Department of Transportation with data to support assertions of a longer life road for pavement featuring a cement hydration catalyst and sealant. Road designs featuring this mix are supported by anecdotal data suggesting that for as little as 15% more upfront costs, roads could last up to 4 times as long. If we were to validate these assertions in a controlled lab environment, it would have helped make the definitive case to convert our maintenance costs for our state roads from $4.5 billion annually to as little as $2.3 billion. Do you know who was a priority? Special interests. So much for the taxpayer. So much for an opportunity to see higher quality roads and less orange barrels. Okay, so times are tight. Perhaps we couldn't afford these projects. The DPCS Medicaid pilot was priced out at $800,000 per year for the next 3 years. The high-quality road test had no price tag in the budget, but may have run as high as $500,000. So the budget before us asserts that we cannot afford this $1.3 million allocation within our $1.3 billion budget increase. What could we afford? How about $800,000 for the owners of the Michigan International Speedway? Traffic control for a single business is obviously more important than life-saving health care for low-income Medicaid enrollees. How about $12 million in special grants? These special grants include $950,000 for a financially distressed city that has a level 3 high-priority capital improvement. It appears that some cities are more important and more special than others. Or how about the additional $72 million handed out to Detroit Public Schools in addition to its foundation allowance? It appears that some school districts are more special than others. You know, it all comes down to priorities. This budget makes special interests our priority. I've been in the state Senate for 6 years. When are we going to make the taxpayers our special priority? You and I are supposed to be their lobbyists. When was the last time that we made an effort to make them feel special? We had an opportunity to do this in this budget cycle by taking steps to decrease the price of government by as much as $4.5 billion on an ongoing basis. We could have done so without getting rid of any services. In fact, we would actually have improved government services. So instead, we increased the price of government by $1.3 billion with no signs of improvement on the horizon. We blew it this year. Next year, we need to make sure that taxpayers are our first priority for a change. I'd like my remarks added to the journal, please.
Without objection, so ordered.